everyone, Hayden Barton, the Batman Tradition, quick video, at least, well, maybe it's quick. I tend to go on sermons up here sometimes, but I just got off with having a very interesting buddy of mine at the gym. This is Saturday morning, just got done working out. And a buddy of mine who goes there is also a big Batman fan. Not necessarily into the comics quite yet. I'm trying to get him there, but loves the animated movies, loves all the live action movies, and really loves the essence, style, persona, details, character details, heart that goes into Batman and Bruce Wayne. I talk about on this channel to my best abilities. At least I try. A lot, but, so we get into some really cool conversations, and it can be super surface level, just about who we want to play Batman, or we can go into really some beautiful details about why we like the character, how we use the character for particular motivation or inspiration or how to deal with things, but totally, I'm going to say surface level conversation we had today, but this might, hey, this is going to be a 50-50, and I'm not trying to even take a side on this. Just going to bring up some points we kind of made in the conversation, but I'm kind of in the middle to where I understand enough to want it, but also not want it. But that is the deal with the conversation of the Batman with Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves' world, and the Drifter, right? The Drifter persona is been beaten to death. How it's, broadcasted enough is the word to say how clearly it's inspired by Batman Year One and that shot of him walking down that, the shithole of Gotham City, and he's got the beanie on and everything, so he's patrolling, not in the Batsuit quite yet. And in itself, that persona, how it was used in the Batman for Robert Pattinson, really became its own special character in itself, as kind of a cultural, iconic thing. The amount of cosplays, edits, and fans of that Drifter-esque style that Bruce brings to it is huge, and I think it's cool. I think, it's inspired so many different people buying clothing items, and, like I said, people making edits about it, that even though it's a little bit different, I think it's really gotten to a point where fans already loved it, accepted it, and would just assume it was going to be in part two, right? But then I got to thinking, should it be? Should Bruce Wayne still basically patrol Gotham City in his Carhartt worker's pants, his bandit jacket, hoodie, and his backpack? And I'm going to say this because one of the big factors about the ending to the Batman Part 1 is how this entire journey of the film and the end is essentially him really, he is Batman, but he's not, or he's dressing as Batman, but he hasn't quite become Batman yet, There's a lot of beautiful talk about, he doesn't really become Batman until he emerges out of that water, out of cutting the electricity line, and that's sort of his baptism into actually becoming that version of Batman who has that understanding for his fellow man, humanity, and really that fine line of fighting for justice and what's right, putting the fear into God, putting the fear of God into people when he needs to be, but sort of that responsibility and beauty of Batman, really he finds out at the end. To me, I think that beautiful shot of him driving away from Selina, and he's watching her in that rear view mirror as she's driving away, and for a brief second, he almost looks at her, almost like looking at what could have been a potential life if he would have went that route and maybe even been happy. Maybe that's exactly what he wanted to do. But it's just a brief second, and then directly, I love this shot, but it turns directly off of that. You see him look forward, and right there in those eyes, you can tell he's like enough with the past, enough with what I have done or have wanted or my desires at the moment. I'm on a mission, I'm committed, and it's time to get back to work. And then he zooms back off into the city. That beautiful score ends, and I absolutely love it, right? And I think, that's kind of the birth of the Batman. So from a fan perspective, and we can talk about comic accuracy or not comic accuracy, but I think with this going forward of this evolution of Bruce into, say, the Batman, the Drifter kind of, I think, is a remnant of his past sort of identity crisis into who Batman is. Sure, there's a practical reason for him patrolling, because maybe they don't want him to be in the bat suit, but he's carrying it in his backpack, right? And so from a fan perspective, as much as I love it, I'm kind of sitting here thinking, well, in the traditional movies, in the comics, in the animated films, Batman patrols Gotham in his suit, right? In his Batmobile, gliding, flying around, grappling around the city, look at the Arkham games, anything, in that Batman suit. And so it kind of, I myself of kind of two minds right here, because at one minute I really love the Drifter outfit and that sort of unique perspective on it. But at the same time, the comic fan in me kind of thinks, maybe I would actually prefer to just see him from now on fully in the bat suit and following that sort of character evolution where he is a full-time Batman at night, patrolling the streets, patrolling the city, and kind of, honestly, as cool as it is to look through Pattinson in that Drifter outfit with the binoculars or in the rain, seeing Pattinson, chase after someone on the rooftops of Gotham City late at night in his bat suit, grappling, potentially gliding, or, parkouring around the city, or him, peering in and out of alleyways, or heck, can you imagine a gliding shot of him up in the sky or something if they go with like the full-on cape? And then it brought to it, it's like, yeah, that might take the cake for me. I know I trust whatever Matt Reeves is going to do, but, I'm kind of the mind like, yeah, the Drifter, I think, was a beautiful piece of broken character art for this story and who this Bruce Wayne is, but clearly I think fans understand it, and Matt Reeves is definitely pushing for it to where this is a story about the maturity, evolution, and sort of upbringing of a fully fleshed out Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I think with that, we might see some changes to basically how Bruce Wayne and Batman, goes about. But I don't know. This is more of a quick video just to bring up a conversation. Let me know what you all think. Let me know why you absolutely think it needs to go away. Let me know why you absolutely think it needs to stay. Like I said, I'm cool with either, so, no debate here. But let me know what you guys think, okay? Take care.